I couldn't look at Otis directly, but I did find the strength to place my arm around his shoulders as we walked through the broken little building and out of the gate toward the runway. At about 100 feet from the plane, I looked back to see if I could get another glimpse of the bird in flight. Only there was no bird to see. He'd shown himself, and he was gone. "Where are we going?" Dominic yelled over the growing prop noise. The old guard, lashed to board, barked out, "We're going to see Bart." "Srinagar?" "Srinagar. Bart will meet us there. He will explain what we have to do to get you out of India." He was giddy. It was strange to me. It wasn't the old guard who seemed strange. It was that he appeared to be the only one happy about all this. The faces positioned around us, from the gate to the plane, all seemed like the embodiment of hate. "This is the first of many small planes." Leo and I looked at one another. To me, he looked how I felt, wondering if this was a good idea at all. I shot a look at Billy to see if he was maybe thinking in sync with me. He wasn't. His attention was on the plane, of course. Leo asked Otis in a loud enough voice, "He knows Bart?" The old guard, knowing our puzzlement, sighed and said, "My name is Sahe, and you are—" He pointed at each of us as he spoke our names. "Billy, Otis, Leo, Dominic, and Finnegan." The old guard smiled and oozed happiness. His grin almost made me smile. Yes, he could have just memorized this information from our passports, but it was odd to rattle off first names like that. It was to me. It was personal. It was sincere. "I know you because I have done more than feed you." He slapped the shoulder of one of the young uniforms as he listened, walking with us. "I have been praying for you. Bart is my spiritual brother. I, too, am a Christian, my friends. We are all spiritual brothers. In Him, the One, the King of Kings, our Lord, Jesus Christ." My heart leaped in joy, but still I was confused. There was a scuffle from the side, a young man struggling to unzip a large canvas bag. One of the other young guards was denying his effort aggressively. From behind us, yelling began an argument. And then, pop, 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 followed by men shouting again in their own tongue. There was fear. I turned. Before I could even react, an intense explosion of pain happened within my chest. I felt myself fall backward with the hard push and entrance of the projectile. The AK-47 rifles were firing from two sides. We were sitting ducks. I fell back completely onto the hard and gravelly ground. "I'm sorry," were the words spoken by Otis. I turned my head to him. He'd said this to me. His eyes closed, and he died. Blood, splattered and spilled, was pooling quickly, encompassing the area. Each of us lay motionless. I felt weak. What is happening? I thought. I could see faces. I saw Nora. I felt her hand leaving mine. I saw Cassidy, her hair pulled back, her freckles. They stood there watching me, hurting for me, not afraid. "Do not fear, only believe." The strong voice of wisdom was one I'd never heard, only I knew who spoke. I was unafraid of men around me who could kill my body, yet I trembled, knowing He who created me was present. "You can hear now," said this voice of power once again. I tried to express that I was ready, only what came from my mouth was nothing more than a crack through the blood. The firing stopped. Footsteps and celebration between the men. I turned head and my eyes. I could see Sahe, the only one left alive, it seemed, besides me. He was holding his hand up from his fallen place, as his life was slow to spill out of his body and onto the earth. A man stood above him. "No!" Sahe yelled just as the rifle was fired, charging death to him at point-blank range. Someone stood next to me, a man whose face I never saw. I felt his boot nudge my side. The muzzle of a rifle hovered just above my temple. "Why did I hate you so much?" I asked Alan. "Oh, man, I have learned so much in such a little amount of time. I think the more I've learned, the less I know. But to answer your question, one of my purposes involving you, Finnegan, was to be me around you, to draw out the hatred buried within you. We're all connected that way. I mean, not specifically to be someone else's bad guy, but as a piece of the puzzle in others' lives. For you, I was to help show you the death that had taken residence within." He took a small loaf of bread from the table, broke it, and gave half to the woman sitting to his right. Then broke it again and handed a piece to me. Thank you, Alan. This isn't the final dwelling place. Yeah, I'm beginning to understand that. There are so many people here, more than I imagined while in the world. Oh, that night, in that cell, brother, that night, I learned that he is the door. I begged on my deathbed as you and Billy were over me that God would save me. Otis laughed and slapped his open palm on the table, yelling out, "Yes! Ha! Yes, he is!" We both jumped. Alan grinned. "Praise our Lord," a distant voice said. Everyone smiled at one another. "Our great shepherd," a man called out as he walked by behind Alan. Alan turned and popped him on the arm endearingly. I watched, realizing his energy and personality was still what it was, the same. Only it was heavenly, and it is, good. It is true, too, that my eyes have changed. I see beyond intelligence now. Although I am still learning intellectually, this knowledge is only knowledge. This knowledge can only take us so far. You will see this too one day, I hope. I was eager to tell you this story. I hope you understand the motivation behind it. The story of my life, I mean. You see, we're connected, you and me. We're the same. Except I'm here and you're there. And, well, I want you to have life. You're probably wondering if Jesus is truly the Son of God. At least, that's what I would have been thinking. But what I'm wondering in that regard is so much different. I'm wondering when he will act, casting his glory forth and eventually carrying us to the final dwelling of heaven. It will be soon. I've been here now for 10 years, if you measure with the scale of created time. And I still pray continually for my Nora and Cassidy. Nora, well, she is wholly devoted to a new mission of her own. Back in the world, I'd fear for her, but now I only wait and pray for her that she would finish the race. This thing she does for the King's glory will not, and does not, get unnoticed. The will of the one who keeps her has plans of which he will unfold through her life. I'm excited to see his glory shown through her, and thankful for the protection assigned to her and her purpose. Cassidy? Oh boy, that young lady. She has turned into quite the sleuth, and is one of 2 employees at a community newspaper that makes just above $0, sometimes less. Although she loves God, occasionally I will see a cloud of fury burst into a rainstorm over her. Then she will fall into doubt, believing that our King has forsaken her, that he has taken me from her. If she only knew, in a never-ending kind of way, that she was being blessed, even as the rain falls, and not cursed.